Chapter 21. Ava smiled as she recognized the familiar landscape. Justin claimed he was taking her somewhere special, and she had expected a nice restaurant, but she hadn't expected him to drive them back to the cottage where they met. For someone who claimed he hated romance, he certainly was good at the little gestures. "Going back to the scene of the crime, are you?" He glanced at her. "Something like that." "I guess you've got the keys already?" she said as he bypassed the rental office and continued down the twisty road that led to the ocean. Had he called ahead then? He said nothing but flashed her a quick smile. Okay, he would make her wait. She could do that. A few minutes later, he pulled the car to a stop in front of the slice of Tranquility Cottage. Before she made a move to open her door, he turned off the car and bounded out to open the door for her. Ever since he'd been cleared after the transplant, he appeared to be more active than even before. She took his hand and followed him inside. The lights in the cottage were off, but the soft glow of candlelight illuminated the room, and rose petals littered the floor. What was all this? He led the way to the kitchen, where candles, flowers, and 2 bottles of Code Red Mountain Dew covered the table. Ava grinned up at him. "Mountain Dew? Really?" "Well, it's what brought us together originally." "I knew you were a romantic at heart," she said, wrapping her arm around his waist. "I had a very good teacher," he returned, kissing her forehead. "There's a box there for you." "A box?" Ava cocked her eyebrow at him, but stepped up to the table. Nestled in the middle of a bouquet of flowers lay a small black box. Was he proposing? She plucked the box out and turned to him with wide eyes. "Open it," he said with a wide smile. Ava popped the lid open and gasped. Inside was a diamond ring. It appeared to be at least a carat by the size of it, and it sent rainbows of colors cascading in every direction. "I know we haven't known each other that long, but I can't imagine you not in my life, Ava McDermott." "Justin, She trailed off as her words died in her throat. "You asked me once what those 2 couples on the show had that made them last." Ava nodded. She remembered the question from the day they'd met. "It was their faith in God. I do believe all the couples on our show have been in love, but when they leave, they have nothing solid to build a life upon. Tyler and Lainey and the couple before them both had a foundation in God. That's why they lasted, and why we will too." "You really believe that?" Ava had thought of her perfect proposal often, and though this wasn't exactly what she had imagined, waves lapping the sunset-kissed beach, the man on his knee confessing his undying love, this was even better. Perfect, because it was so personal to them. "I really do. I want to spend the rest of my life with the woman who makes me laugh, who challenges me, who spurs me to be a better man, and the woman I love with my whole heart." Ava wanted all that too, and she'd known for some time that she wouldn't want it with anyone but Justin. She was ready to marry him and start a family. She pulled the ring from the box, but before she could place it on her finger, he took it and slid it down her ring finger. "I love you too, and I can't wait to marry you." As Justin leaned in to kiss her, Ava heard the sound of a camera flash. She pulled back, surprised to see Margie standing a few feet away with an old Polaroid camera. "Margie?" "Yep, this one is going to look perfect on my wall," the woman said as she waved the small square back and forth. "What's going on?" Ava asked, looking from Justin to Margie. Justin grinned. "It turns out our getting double booked here wasn't really a coincidence after all." "What?" Ava felt like the world had shifted all of a sudden into an alternate reality. Margie shrugged. "I'm kind of a matchmaker." "I don't understand." "I pray about all the people who book with me, and if God tells me to, I double book them. He told me about you two. I have to say I wasn't sure when I saw the 2 of you. But like always, he was right." Ava laughed and shook her head. If anyone else had told her this story, she wouldn't have believed it. But somehow, with Margie, she could. "So, I guess this means you have to come to the wedding now." Margie laughed, and Justin pulled Ava in for that kiss that had been interrupted. Ava heard the camera click again, but she didn't mind. There was no place she would rather be. The epilogue. Ava smiled as the soft, salty breeze lifted her hair. She and Justin both agreed they wanted a beach wedding, and what better beach than the one they met on? The slice of Tranquility Cottage had served as their dressing rooms, allowing her, Kelsey, and Genevieve to get ready. Justin, Garrett, and Peter had gotten ready across the hall, and Margie played referee, making sure Justin didn't see Ava until it was time. Ava still wasn't sure if the woman was an angel or just displayed an angelic personality, but she decided it didn't matter. Now it was time, and Ava could hardly believe the transformation of the beach. Tiki lights gave the area a soft glow in the setting sun, and 100 white chairs filled the beach. Instead of a red carpet, red rose petals marked the aisle, leading up to where Justin stood with the pastor. "You look beautiful, honey," her father said as he leaned in to give her a quick kiss on the cheek. Fully recovered from his bypass surgery, he appeared stronger than ever. Ava was so glad this day had come while he was still around to walk her down the aisle. The music started, and Genevieve and Peter began their walk down the aisle. Kelsey and Garrett went next, and Ava marveled at how healthy Garrett looked. At least 20 extra pounds sat on his frame, and his color had returned to a healthy glow instead of the sickly pallor that laid on his face the first day she met him. "Are you ready?" her father asked as the music shifted. "I feel like I've been ready for most of my life," Ava said with a smile. She put her free hand on her father's arm and began the march down the aisle. "Who gives this woman away?" the pastor asked when they reached the front. "Her mother and I do." Her father patted her hand before placing it in Justin's outstretched palm. At Justin's touch, a tingle shot up Ava's arm. She would never have believed that first day that they would be getting married, but God worked in mysterious ways and with unusual people sometimes. "Do you, Ava McDermott, take Justin Miller to be your husband till death do you part?" the pastor asked. "I do." "Do you, Justin Miller, take Ava McDermott to be your wife till death do you part?" "I do," Justin said with a smile. "Then by the power vested to me by the great state of California, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride." The crowd behind them cheered as Justin leaned in and kissed Ava. Her first kiss as a married woman. It was as good as she had expected it would be, and though she knew it might not always bring fireworks, she rested easy in the knowledge that their faith in God would bring them through any trial they might face. The end.